Hey everyone, welcome to the Annie Tunes In podcast. Today's episode is with Jay Alderton. Jay started as one of the top transformation coaches in the UK, transforming thousands of lives, and then shifted into a best-selling author, a motivational speaker, more of a business entrepreneurial side, still doing the fitness, but he has tons of viral videos all over social media. I'm sure you guys have seen him before. In this episode, we talk all about finding your purpose in life, anxiety, mental health, working less, and a little bit about fitness as well. So I cannot wait for you guys to listen to this episode and stay tuned. Enjoy. Thanks for sitting down with me today. I want to hear a little bit about your journey and background. I've seen you pop up all over. I've seen you on TikTok. I've seen you on social media for your podcast quotes, your motivational sayings, and everything like that. So tell me a little bit about how you got started in your background.
Cool. How far do you want me to go?
I want to start out. Okay, so you were into fitness previously. Let's start there.
Yeah, I was. I mean, if we rewind all the way back, I mean, I started getting into fitness from a very young age. I was actually a little shit at school, shall we say, what we say here in the UK. Just not really focused whatsoever. And one of the best things that my teachers did for me was open up the gym at lunchtimes for me and for me to lift weights and train. So I got into training from a very young age. But that behavior seems to have carried on through my school life. And I had to make a decision when I left school because there was no way that I was going to continue on with education because I was just so distracted and had no focus. So at 17, I joined the British Army and I spent 6 years in the army. It's probably one of the best decisions that I ever made because it got me on the path to where I am now. Mm-hmm. It gave me discipline. It gave me focus. It set me up for life. From there, I had a bit of a while to start resenting, the passion that I had for training. And I was completely wrong. Some people actually do start to resent it, but it was exactly the thing that I needed. And, it lit a flame and a passion in me that hasn't gone out. And this was back in 2012. So it's been 10 years of that journey, becoming a personal trainer, doing a lot of different things, becoming very well known in the UK, building a gym, closing a gym, and strategies to live a healthier, happier, fitter, and stronger life.
So what happened next when you started to transition to online? How did you kind of start that and get people to kind of know you as this kind of online person now? How did you shift your business in that way?
So 2011, I was very much using Facebook as a way of documenting my fitness progress. Social media was very different back then. It was very much me, 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 me. And I was just using it as an accountability tool, letting people know what my workouts was, letting people know what I was up to. I was competing at the time, so I'd be letting people know what I'm doing, my training, what I'm looking like, and really just doing vlogs and documenting that process. And what I didn't realize that I was actually doing was building up an audience, building up people that were interested in what it was that I was doing, and essentially building up a client base too. Because something that I say all the time is when people believe in what it is that you say, people will believe in what it is that you sell. So for me, getting made redundant, I did have a small following at the time, and I was able to monetize that into my first clients, which was fantastic. And for that, it just showed me the potential of what online had in the fitness space almost 10 years ago.
Yeah. And I can kind of relate, going back to how you didn't want to turn training into a career. The same thing happened with me. I didn't want to hate it. And I would see, because people always say, like, look at the people that are 10 or 20 years ahead doing what you might be doing. And how is their lifestyle? How are they acting? And I saw that as well. And I was like, I don't know if I want this. But when you do it on your own terms and you kind of start your own thing and you have these clients that appreciate you so much and, you see these changes in them, it's a whole different story. So I love that you mentioned that, because I was kind of in the same boat. So I want to hear a little bit about what a day in the life looks like with you, starting with your morning routine.
Okay, so everyone asked me a lot about my morning routine, and now I kind of not necessarily warn people. I say to people that I have a very long morning routine. It's my morning routine. You do not have to do this, and I don't recommend starting out that you do this because every person's different. But I will start with my one. It starts at 4:30. So 4:30, I'm up. I go straight downstairs. I have a stretching session. So normally 25 minutes stretching session. I then do a Wim Hof breathing session. I journal. I read a chapter of a book. I have an ice bath in my garden set to about 3 degrees, which is like 3 degrees Celsius, that is, I think. So 3 degrees over freezing. It's really kind of sludgy water. It's that cold. I dip in there for 2 to 3 minutes, and normally from there, warm up a little bit with a coffee, head to the gym, have about an hour's training session, and then head home. And the kids are up by then, getting everything ready for the day, getting all my content posted, and then heading off here to the studio to start work.
Do you feel like the morning ice bath has really helped you mentally?
But yeah, very much so. I mean, I've been jumping in the sea for the last 2.5 years, and recently this year I got the ice bath. And the only reason I did that was I was at a fitness expo and I jumped in an ice bath, and I'd never done an ice bath. I'd always done, the sea, and I love the sea, but it just hit very, very differently. And a lot of people always ask me when it comes to ice baths, what the benefits are. And my normal response to that is there's 2 types of people. There's those that want to know what the benefits of doing something is before doing it, and others that actually do something to see the benefit in doing it. And very much the ice bath, it teaches me discipline. And the reason it teaches me discipline is everybody thinks that I enjoy doing it, and I don't. It's the worst part of my day. I can't stand doing it. Every single morning, there's this little voice in my head telling me to skip it, telling me not to do it. And I always say that you always have kind of 2 voices. Your first voice is kind of the motivation, and that voice is only good when it's in a good mood. So it will tell you to do stuff when you're in a good mood. And this is the thing about motivation. When you are in a good mood, it's easier to do things. But a lot of the time, people aren't in a good mood. The second voice, that's the person that says to you that you're doing it regardless of how you feel. And I always have the first voice that says to me, maybe skip it today. And the second voice says, we're going in. And I always practice discipline and practice listening to that second voice, because there's lots of things during my day that I don't want to do, but I know I need to do. And if everybody could kind of do something in the morning, and it doesn't necessarily need to be an ice bath, but if they can train themselves to do something difficult at the start of every day, their life gets so much easier, because you learn how to practice discipline, and you learn how to listen to the things that you don't want to do and understand that you need to do it. And for most things, you get the benefit after you've completed stuff, not before.
Yeah. And I think it takes some time too to kind of get in the habit of it. Like, it might suck the first few times. You might hate it. You might not want to do it again. And then it kind of becomes a habit and you start to enjoy it more. And I think that developing a morning routine is important. But I think when people hear morning routines, it's like this elaborate thing. Like, I journaled in my notebook, I did the ice bath, I worked out, and it's this whole process that people don't even want to start to do it. So I think, like what you said, like something very small and just trying it out for maybe a week or 2 can be really helpful. So that kind of brings me to my next thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Is a lot of things with fitness, or just with success in general, comes to habits. And a lot of people have very bad habits that they can't break. So what would you say to those people that maybe are motivated and might have the discipline, but have really bad habits that they need to kind of get out of?
I think the first thing is to understand that you don't need to change all of your bad habits. I think a lot of people think in order to get success that they need to change them all. But in reality, it's okay to have a few bad habits. It's just that you need more good than bad if you want to see progress. Most of your bad habits are subconscious. And what I mean by that is that you do them without thinking. So in order to change something that's subconscious, you need to spend a bit of time making it conscious and being aware of what that bad habit is. So, let's take a bad habit of not exercising, shall we say. Everybody knows that they need to do some form of exercise, but a lot of people skip that exercise. And what you need to do, first and foremost, is make a commitment to yourself to do it for a period of time. And I think that's always the first thing, because you need to make a conscious decision that to do something. take the ice bath for me. I didn't start the ice bath. It was cold showers, and I didn't want to do a cold shower. My idea of doing a cold shower, I think it was about 3 years ago. It was crazy. But I made a 30-day commitment to do one every single day. And it actually took 15 days of doing them before I actually noticed something change a little bit in me. And it became a little bit easier. And I think that's so important, is you make a commitment to yourself to do something. And when you start to see the benefit from what it is that you do, that habit becomes easier to do. I always say this with clients, that a lot of people struggle to get their nutrition right, to go to the gym and go to training. And then suddenly they see a friend that they haven't seen for many years. And that friend says, wow, you look amazing. What have you been up to? And then, of course, they tell them that they've been going to the gym and exercising and eating right. And they're like, oh, that's fantastic. You watch how easy it is for somebody to stick to those positive habits now. So it's, for a lot of the time, it's making that commitment, and it's going through the process and being patient to see the result from doing it. And the beautiful thing about that is that good habits then can become subconscious. So you can do a lot of good things without actually realizing you're doing good things. And it's very much like driving a car. When you first learn how to drive a car, it takes a lot of conscious effort to learn. But after many, many years, a lot of people get to their destination not knowing how they even got there.
It's so true. And I think it's also super important to document it, because, even for me, like, I don't even notice my progress. Like, I go day to day with the same little things. I don't notice it. But when I look back, I'm like, holy crap, I'm a completely different person. I've made this huge change. The same thing goes with fitness, business, whatever it is. But I think it's important to kind of document it in some way, whether it's writing it down, taking pictures, videos, to be able to look back and see those changes and kind of motivate you even more. So I think that's a great point that you made. And going back to your videos that I see online, you're known now for all these amazing motivational videos. I always am saving them. And one thing that you talked about the other day was anxiety. And a lot of people now are dealing with mental health. They're dealing with anxiety. What is the best way, would you say, to deal with anxiety when it hits you?
I think the first thing is for people to notice actually what anxiety feels like, because a lot of people don't identify their thoughts and feelings. And once you identify what something is, you can understand it better. And the kind of analogy that I give with this is, when you're not feeling right and, you're worried, what happens is you go to the doctors and they tell you exactly what it is. Now, although the problem hasn't been solved, you feel a little bit of relief because you've identified what it is. So there's no longer this uncertainty of what's going on. And the way that I say with anxiety, and a friend described it to me, which is fantastic. And he said to me that, imagine you're playing an old 90s video game and you're getting to the end of the level, and the music changes and the big boss is about to come out, but they haven't appeared yet. And you're just waiting for that thing to come out. That's what anxiety feels like, because a lot of anxiety, what it is that you're waiting for something that might not necessarily actually happen. It's a lot of worry, it's a lot of fear, it's a lot of concern about the outcome of something. And what tends to happen with your body is that you close up, you stop thinking, you start thinking irrationally, your breathing changes, you breathe very, very quickly and very, very shallow. So it's noticing the habit of this, happening. So what you're able to do in this situation is go, okay, so I'm sitting in this anxiety now because I've identified what it is. I'm getting this anxiety because I'm thinking a lot about things that have yet to happen. So identifying those, writing them down, which a lot of people don't do because it's getting things out of your head and onto a piece of paper to make it more of a reality. And then the next thing, it seems like common sense, but common sense isn't common practice, is to just take some deep breaths, breathe, understand, box breathing is a fantastic one. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds pause, 4 seconds out, 4-second pause, 3 minutes, get back to your normal breath. And what the most amazing thing with that is that you realize that when you notice this feeling, that you have strategies to help improve them. And when you do manage to improve them and still manage to go about your day and do the things that you were supposed to do, then you've just proven to yourself that you can get through these times when you get anxiety. It's not to say that these are not going to come back again and again, but you'll have strategies to deal with them. And I think that is so important. Another thing is that a lot of people don't realize, they look at other people on the internet, they look at Instagram posts, they look at everything, and they assume that nobody else experiences the feelings that they're feeling right now. But in actual fact, everybody experiences it in different ways. The reality is that a lot of people just don't show it. And, if you could really get in and feel what everybody is feeling around you, it would shock you probably of just how up and down people are during the day. So you're not alone with your feelings, and very simple things that you can do can help improve those things.
Yeah, because even like for you seem like you're cool, calm, collected. So when you find that you deal with stress or anxiety, what are some things that you might go and do to help you specifically?
I think I would say that life is very counterintuitive. So, when you are feeling like you're not doing enough, one of the things that you need to do is do less, because the thing is that feeling of not doing enough is probably because you're doing too much and you're close to burnout. And it's understanding that stress plus rest equals growth. So when it comes to things like anxiety, it's a case of going, right, okay, where does this stem from? Because it normally just doesn't come overnight. It normally compounds over time. And it's a lot of it is those thought processes in your head. I love the quote, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, because a lot of things that we do during the day, things like journaling, things like breath work and that, they are the prevention, not the cure. So doing these things on a daily basis helps prevent us from getting these episodes in the future. Very much like stretching, if you stretch every day, you don't tend to see the benefit from doing it until you start doing it 6 to 8 months and realize, do you know what? I haven't pulled a muscle in the gym. I haven't had an injury for a long time. And it's that ounce of prevention that you get from doing it. So it's very much, the same for me. And anxiety, like I've had massive, one of the things that I've always been grateful for, and it sounds a bit strange, is having like anxiety every day for like 3 weeks and wondering what it was. And the great thing about having anxiety every day for 3 weeks is you get to experiment with different things to try and help improve it, instead of just having a bout and then it going and then coming back and then going. So very much for myself, when I was trying different things, the reason that I was feeling it is there was a lot of noise in my head. So I was trying to find different ways of turning that volume down. And I very much found things like my ice bath, things like breath work, just turn that noise down in the morning, and just enabled me to deal with it so much better. So it does come down to experimentation. It does come down to practice, but very much like these things, if you want to help improve and prevent them from getting worse, it's daily practices that you've got to do.
So for me personally, when I try to sit there and meditate and turn off my thoughts, it's impossible. I feel like my brain is constantly running. And when I meditate, I'm like, I've tried to sit there for a minute or two, and I'm like, do I think of a blank wall? Do I think of a black space? What do you think of if you can't keep your mind from running and you're trying to kind of decompress and relax and put your brain in a different space?
So I say there's two forms of meditation. There is kind of meditation where you sit down and you close your eyes and you have a thought and allow it to pass. I'm very much like you. I can't do that. I really can't. My brain's everywhere. I'm just like, tried it all, and I'm just like, I ain't got time for this. And there's forced meditation. And forced meditation is understanding that basically meditation is breathing and spending a little bit of time without having any thoughts, allowing a thought to pass. And whenever I take people into the sea for the first time, the first thing that they do is breathe really, really deeply. They lose their breath, they gasp, they breathe. The next thing that I say to them is, what are you thinking right now? and they look at me like I'm strange. And they're like, what are you on about? I said, well, what are you thinking right now? And they go, absolutely nothing. And I said, welcome to forced meditation. So for those who struggle to breathe and not be with their thoughts, I would say try something that, regardless of doing it, it will guarantee that you breathe and you'll be without thoughts for that period of time. And I love the quote by Naval Ravikant, and he says that a lot of people don't want peace of mind, they want peace from mind. And I think it's so important for somebody to find some form of practice that they can do at least 5 minutes a day to get out of their own head.
And I think too, the environment helps. Like, has that really helped you switching your environment up in order to do that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like it's finding habits and routines in different spaces and places. For myself, like on a Thursday, I'll go to a spa, which is about 3 miles up the road, and I'll only go there on a particular day. And automatically, just going there on that day and the routine of going there instantly relaxes me because it has a certain smell about it. You know, there's a routine there, and it calms me down. So it's finding these different places. Now, you might not be able to go to a spa, but you might be able to go for a walk at a certain place. It might be a woods or a forest that you go to on a particular day to get that desired outcome. And these are the kind of things that you need to think about. It's that self-awareness of knowing what the intention is for doing these things and what the outcome that you're looking for. And this came as a surprise because I went there for a day just to de-stress, and I felt very de-stressed. And I said to myself, this is it's an expensive spa. Could I see myself doing this every week, at least once a week? And I was like, well, here's the thing: if it does what it's doing to me now, it's a great return on investment because it's going to help me be in a better position. I'm going to be able to help my clients a lot more, and my business is going to benefit from it. So it's not really a cost; it's more of an investment. So it's investing in yourself for those things too.
That's a great point, because I feel like that stops a lot of people from doing something is they don't want to spend the money on themselves. And I mean, they spend money on so many things. Everyone does, just these external things. But when it comes to themselves, like hiring a trainer, going to the spa, doing whatever you need to do to improve yourself, it's like people are hesitant to spend that money. And I think it's really important to think of it as an investment. And whatever you're doing now is going to help your life. It's going to help everyone in your life. And it's going to be this huge improvement. So I love that. So anxiety is obviously worrying about things before they happen. And I think the issue now is what I'm seeing from a lot of people is they're looking at other people online. They want to be in this certain place that they're not there yet. They feel like they're not doing things fast enough. They're not where they want to be in life. They can never reach it. And I think it's an issue that we're facing now with the internet and everything like that. So with people that feel like they need to be hustling and grinding all the time to get to where they need to be, what would you say your tips are that actually need to happen without kind of killing yourself to get to a certain spot?
So the first thing is, every person you see on the internet, they're probably not where it is that you think that they are, because every single person is just showing you what they want you to see. So that's the first thing. Another thing is with more power becomes more responsibility and more stress. I have a friend, I had a friend who's a multi-millionaire, worth $200 million. And he took me around his workplace with 600 staff. And I took one look at him and I was like, fuck that. It's like, keep your money, keep everything that you're doing right now, because that's not the life that if I have to do this for that, no. And it's just being realistic with things, because a lot of people look at other people and they're envious, and they're envious about one thing. But in order to be that person, you need to change everything about yourself. And it's a great thought experiment to ask yourself. You look at somebody on Instagram and they've got like the perfect life and this, that, and the other. And then you ask yourself, well, what have I got that I really like about my life? And I look back and I've got my wife, I've got my 2 kids. And in order to have the life that that person has, it means that I have to sacrifice and give up that, because in order to be that person, I have to take on everything, not just that one thing that I'm looking at that I'm envious of. And it's a great thought experiment, because there are things in your life which you're grateful for, and you tend to focus on things that you don't have, and then you tend to be envious of when somebody else has that thing. So that can very much help with you a lot. The next thing is as well is to filter your newsfeed. It's okay to unfollow people if people trigger you. If you're on your newsfeed and people don't leave you better when you see them, don't follow them. It's a very simple thing. You know, a lot of people say, "Well, how do you deal with all the negativity online and everything that's going on in the world?" I'm like, I'm not. My newsfeed's great because I choose what I want in the newsfeed, and I don't want negative things. I don't want negative people, and I feed the algorithm what I want to see, not the other way around. I tell the algorithm with the little dots on the screen that I'm not interested in things. I tell it that I don't want to see these things. I unfollow people, I mute people, and I filter the things that I want to see rather than allowing that thing to show me what I don't want to see. So it's controlling, once again, it comes back to controlling your environment. You know, if you keep seeing negative things in your news feed, understand that the algorithm's just showing you more of the things that you're already looking at. So it's not the algorithm's fault, it's your fault. It's because you keep looking at all of these things. And this is so, so important, because the only way that you're going to be able to become more positive and, you know, not have this curse of comparison with other people is by not allowing it to happen in the first place.
I love that point as using social media as part of your environment, because it is. You're looking at it every 5, 10, 15 seconds for some people. And I think that if you are constantly looking at people that you're jealous of or people that you want to be or whatever it is, you're going to always think negative. So, and you don't, even if you post all the time, you don't have to be scrolling 24/7. You can post and get off of it and then kind of, not get back on it until you're ready, and just look at the people that are going to enhance your life or teach you something or even give you a good laugh versus, someone that you just are constantly, comparing to. And
100%.
yeah, I think that's super, super, super important in that sense. So when it comes to any type of comparison, if someone does feel that way, they unfollow someone, or maybe it's even in person, it's not on social media. What would you say to that person that is in a constant state of comparison that can kind of knock it out? Maybe they've unfollowed these people, but maybe they still are kind of feeling that way. What would you say to those people?
If you ask yourself enough whys, you'll get to the root cause of the problem. So, for example, if you are constantly comparing yourself with other people, keep asking yourself why you're comparing them. Is it because, they're doing something, or is it because you're not doing something? And sometimes this whole thing can be you're triggered because a lot of people around you are holding up a mirror to the things that you said you were going to do, but you're not for some reason. And you really need to ask yourself, firstly, why you're not doing these things. And secondly, why you're getting so annoyed with people who are doing the things that you want to do. And one of the biggest things to understand is that, success leaves clues. And not only that, people who do become successful with doing the things that you want to do, one of the main reasons that they are successful is because once they complete the game, their pleasure comes from helping other people complete it too. So actually reaching out to these people who have the things which you don't currently have but want, they're probably the right people because they've got the frameworks to help you skip a few chapters and get there quicker.
I love this. So I had a client actually that came to me about 6 months ago, and he just sold a business for hundreds of millions of dollars, and he lost his health. He had all these health issues. He got a divorce, no family. And he came to me and I'm thinking that he's this successful guy and I'm looking up to him. And he's like, I want to be like you. I want to be healthy. I want to have freedom. I want to be happy. I wasn't happy doing these things. And now, like, I want to be like you. So it was a really big shift in my mind to hear that and see that, because it was completely opposite of what I thought. So I think that's really important, thinking of success, that it's really not money and having a big business and looking like you're traveling all over the world. It's like, for me personally, it's helping people and having freedom and just being able to, if I want to go surfing or something, I can go do that. Like just being able to make those decisions for yourself on a daily basis, that kind of is success in my mind. But for you, what would you say success is to you?
Time, purpose, health, and freedom.
I love
time
that.
Time to do whatever I want. Purpose, because I need to get up in the morning and have a reason for doing what it is that I'm doing for the day. Health, it doesn't matter how much money you got. If your health is poor, you'd invest every single penny that you got to get your health back. And of course, with a lot of things, when you are focused on your purpose, when you are focused on helping people, and when you have plenty of energy and you're healthy with doing that, you become a very valuable person to other people. So you tend not to need to concern yourself too much with money, especially if you value what it is that you are giving to the world. And, I work with a lot of personal trainers, and one of the biggest things that they have is this kind of curse of knowledge, because they know what they know and they hang around with like-minded people who know what they know. They don't value what it is that they can give to other people. And it's so important to understand that if you do value the things in your life, such as your time, your purpose, and your freedom, that anybody takes that away from you, they've got to cross your palm with silver to be able to do that, because that's going to save them a lot of time. And actually, that's going to give you more time as well.
100%.
And that's what's so important, that a lot of people are afraid to ask for money for things. And I honestly think it's crazy, because if I want something done fast, I know that my first question I ask is, who knows how to do that? And then, do you have a product or service or coaching or thing that I can do to get there quicker? And I think I love the quote of time, money, and knowledge. And when you're lacking one, you have to use the other two to get there.
I love that. I really love that. And so I saw something about you the other day, and this kind of is related to that, but talking about purpose, you were talking about writing down things that you want to do before you die. I saw this that you were talking about the other day, and I thought it was really interesting, because I think it's something that people don't want to think about death. People don't want to talk about death, but mentioning that, writing down things before you die, tell me a little bit about that and what you were talking about.
I think one of the things that a lot of people don't want to think about, once again, is one day all of this ending, but it's a reality that you need to face. And a lot of people think it's morbid, but what I think is kind of morbid is the fact that you're not thinking about these things. And the worst thing that I can envision is getting to 80 or 90 and not being able to do the things that I said I wanted to do or could have done at that time, because I no longer can. So I think about death every single day, and what that enables me to do is to live the life that I want to live. So it's making sure that I'm reflecting on the things that I'm doing, whether I actually want to do these things, and being okay with not doing certain things that I don't want to do. And of course, making sure that it's not necessarily a bucket list, but just thinking about the things that I want to get done with my life before it goes. And there's that list isn't very, very big. It's not material items. It's a lot of it's done in stages. So when I'm 40 in about 3 years time, so I want to take 6 months off, just completely off everything, so I can just go traveling with my family for a bit, think, and have that freedom, and then come back and look at what I'm doing for the next 10 years. So that's one of my kind of short-term goals for that. And a lot of my wants are to very much in my business now, it's my focus is to build and grow the business every single year whilst working less and less. So for me, it's working just a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday. And that's not to say that I'm not working on the other days, but I'm more creative. Taking a Tuesday off, although I don't I consider it not working, is the day that I get the most work done, because it allows me to think strategically, because I'm not at my desk. It enables me to write down my thoughts better and come up with more content ideas. And it just allows that space to think what the next steps are forward. So actually, it's probably the best business day for me to do. But I think everybody needs to just be aware of these things, because time does go very, very quickly. And if you're not, if you don't have a plan, and you don't work towards something, then you got to ask yourself, what are you working towards? Because it will be gone very, very quickly, quicker than you can envision.
Do you feel like with what you are doing now that you are on the path to accomplish all of these things that you want to do?
I very much so, yeah, because they're not a lot of my focuses and goals. They don't have a finish line. There's no you know, there's no like, I need to hit this number of followers. I need to hit this annual revenue. I need to be at this particular place with this particular thing at this stage. It's more purpose driven now. It's more cool. You know, am I doing things on a weekly basis that make me happy? Am I spending enough time with the people that I care about? And am I leaving people better when they find my content? There are three very simple things which I ask myself on a weekly basis. And if the answer is yes, then whatever it is that I'm doing, keep doing it. And that's a very kind of simple thought process, but it's very purpose driven. And that purpose is going to be exactly the same year after year after year. And the thing about that is that kind of thought process gives me a relentless amount of energy. It allows me to get rid of the things that I'm not enjoying and to double down on the things that I am. And it allows me to really appreciate the things that I have because I spend a lot of time with people that I care about.
What is one thing that you would want to be remembered by? Talking about purpose.
I think if there's one thing, it's understanding that consistency in anything wins the game. You know, over talent, over hard work, everything. It's turning up every day. And if I wanted to be remembered by something, you know, I always say, look, success is based on showing up every day, regardless of how you feel. So if there's one thing that I'd like to be remembered by is the fact that I showed up every day.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. And what's next for you?
What's next for me? Ooh. I've had a great growth this year on social media with just that very purpose of leaving people better when they find my content. I've been very much focused on B2B, helping the personal trainers this year. And I'm very excited to be opening the doors more to coaching and mentorship and programs next year for just everyday people who want to get a little bit healthier, happier, fitter, and stronger.
Awesome. So where can they find you? Website, Instagram, all that stuff?
Best place to find me is Instagram or TikTok or Facebook. Best place to look is just type at Jay Alderton or Jamie Alderton or Jay Alderton on Google, and hopefully I'll come up. And
you have your own podcast, right?
I do. I've got two podcasts. I've got the Mindset Muscle podcast, and I've got one that I do with my friend, which we talk about all about business and all about habits and routines, which is called The Body and the Beast.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the Annie Tunes podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.